The balance of power. Ali, I have to admit, I begged our producers to book you today because you are an expert. You wrote a book titled Electable, Why America Hasn't Put a Woman in the White House Yet. And I would like to talk about that for just a moment. Yeah. The question sort of asks itself. When we look at the results of last night, do you think that is a function of this particular candidate or of where we are as a society?
I think it's where we are as a society, and it's why I'm still optimistic. Look, there was a world in which the subtitle of my book might have become irrelevant or some relic of the past. That is not the day that we woke up in today, with Donald Trump besting another woman on his path back to the Oval Office. But the reason that I still feel optimistic is because, and I write about this, for every woman who ascends to be the first of any kind, is in the Senate, in the House, certainly for the presidency, they also carry the onus of knowing that they are laying bricks in the road, not just for their own ambition, but for the women who are going to come after them. Certainly Kamala Harris was well aware of this, despite the fact that she never talked about being the first of anything. That was by design. But the fact that she's ended up here, and this is going to be so central to her remarks later today, how does she contextualize this moment and make clear to people that she may have fallen short here, but she is just putting more bricks in the road for people like her to come forward and run and potentially win. The other reason to be optimistic, the pipeline is so full. You look at this in 2020, more women running for a presidential cycle than ever before. You have those women still serving in the Senate, serving in governorships. That means that they're primed, able, viable to run in 2028. I don't even want to go there yet, but it does mean that there's hope for the future.
You know, Ali, before we let you go, I do want to talk about, you talk to a lot of voters as well. And when you bring up this idea of a woman in power in the highest office of the land, do you feel that voters are okay conceptualizing that? Or do you feel like there are big swaths of America who still feel more comfortable with a man in that position, feel like they are more protected with a man in that position?
It is such a simple question with such a complex answer, because you look back in 2020, for example, the electorate, even in 2016, said, yes, we're ready for a woman to be president. But when you start putting specific women's names on the line, voters start coming up with all these excuses. I just don't like this about her. There's something about her that I don't like. And so that is the untangible of sexism, of racism, and that's what makes it hard to quantify in moments like this one. But we also know that there are different explanations coming out for why we saw the electorate shift in 2024 in new ways around Latino voters, around Black voters. These are conversations that have race, gender, and policy all baked into them at once, and it's why it's going to take a little bit of time for us to unspool this. Voters are ready, but the imagination gap still exists at this point, and that means that the next woman who comes has that little bit of extra work to do.
And sometimes the isms, right? Voters don't want to share the isms. They don't want to name the isms. So instead, they use other issues as the red herring to cover up the isms that they find aren't palatable. Ali VITALI, excellent.
Ali, thank you. The imagination gap. Wow, that's a big one.